Hey everybody, Michelle with Michelle's Frugal Living here. Thanks for watching my videos, and it's time to work on the temperature quilt again. It's January the 5th of 2024, and so now all of 2023 is done, and I can have all my temperatures. So I got that worked out, and I've got all of the blocks up through November on here, and so yeah, so blue is the colder temperatures. It goes in the green, and then reds, and then the yellows, and you can see the yellows are in the upper 80s and 90s, and then the red starts again, and then we're getting back into getting into the greens and the blues again down here in November. It got colder. We did have a hot day because we had some red that showed up down here in November. So I'll move it so you can see the bottom of where we're at on December. But yeah, so 19 blocks across, 20 blocks down. And a block consists of these four right here. That's one day. And this is the high temperature color, and this is the low temperature color that goes this way. And this was the beginning of July, so the high and the low temperature of July, and so that block is July the 1st, and then there's July 2nd that has the rainbow. So I had a rainbow end up here in the corner of my quilt. So that's the upper corner, and here, let me stop this for a second. Okay, so I got it shifted, so now we can see the bottom, and so this is where I need to put December in. This the bottom right corner right here. So that one up there, this is column 19, and that is the November 29th block right there. And then coming back down here, so then I laid in this one, which was November the 30th. Okay, so this is going to be where I'll start the next row of December, and go diagonal up there. So that'll be the triangle one with the high and low for December. Will go there, and it'll fill in. And I think there's 3 at the end that I'm going to do something special with, that because we'll still have more blocks, and I'll show you that when how I have this laid out and everything. But yeah, you can see how the yellow is going away, and so this is mostly going to be blue and green down here in December. Okay, so I've got my pieces for December cut out right here, and I'm going to get those sewed together and put on the quilt. And but before I did that, I wanted to take you through how I got to this point a little bit, just do a brief overview, and because it has been a long time since I made the first video. So there's 4 other videos getting me to this point on this quilt top. I'll have the links to those in the description on this video. I also have them linked in a playlist called Quilts or Quilting or something like that. If you click on my name, you can go over to my YouTube homepage, and you can find that playlist there along with other ones. Okay, so I do all kinds of things. I just thought I'd take you through briefly how I came to this point here. So initially, I decided I wanted to make a temperature quilt. I looked at a lot of them, what other people had done, you know, or whatever. And a lot of people crochet, and actually I thought I was going to crochet a quilt so it would help me learn crochet better. And I'm really more of a quilter than a crocheter, but you know, so I decided I wanted to make a quilt. And so I started looking at the fabrics I had. I had a lot of these florals. I decided to go there, and then I had to pick a block. And what I decided on was basically a 5-inch square once it gets sewed together, and so using 4 squares to get here. And this in my color schemes, this direction is the high temperature for the day, and this direction is the low temperature for the day. And so this is December the 1st, and I made little tickets on some washi tape that I had so that I could keep track of these when I'm making them. Because if you do one a day, then it would be really easy if you keep sewing one every day. Well, I didn't want to do that. So I had to keep track of them monthly. And so I wrote, "It rained this day," and I put stitches on here. They're hard to see, but that's the stitch I did for rain. And I had a stitch for snow, hail, and then also doing rainbows. If I had other weather phenomena in my area, I would have, you know, something dramatic, I would have done that as well. So, and then I laid out my temperatures. So I went every 5 degrees and put a fabric and labeled each of the fabrics with a letter to correspond with those temperatures. Okay, and I knew most of my temperatures, fabrics were going to be between these degrees because that's mostly where the temperatures are in my area. But we have the potential to go -0 Fahrenheit. I'm in Fahrenheit here. And then we could go over 100. We didn't. The high in August, for the whole year, the high was 99. So we never hit 100, so I didn't use fabric V. And the lowest we had was in February at 19. And so that was fabric E that I had laid out. So I never used A, B, C, and D. Okay, so that's just what happens. I mean, you could wait until, you know, pick a year and say, I'm going to do it for that year. And then you would know initially, like, because you could look back at the data and then figure that out. But I didn't. I wanted to do it progressively throughout the year. And I did. So anyways, that's the color range I had. And here in December, I go everywhere from F up to O. So that is a really big span of temperatures from F to O. All right. And yeah. And I had one day with snow in December, I think. And then we had some rain here also. Quite a bit of rain. Yeah. And then I also wanted to keep track of the average temperature for the month because I had some extra blocks. So let me show you. Once I decided, like, I tried different numbers and different styles of blocks and whatever, but this is what I decided on. And, you know, doing calculations because I wanted a queen size quilt. And 19 blocks across, 20 blocks down. Because obviously I needed at least 365 blocks, which is not an even number, right? So it meant I was going to have extra blocks or something. And 5, anyway, so it worked out. So that 19 times 20 is 380 minus 365 days. If you're doing one for 2024, there's an extra day. So you get 366 days. So keep that in mind because it's a leap year. And so that leaves me with 15 extra blocks. And there's 12 months in the year. So I decided to do a high and low temperature for each month. And so this is the December high and low temperatures, L and K temperatures. And so those vary from month to month. And it kind of, on the quilt, distinguishes where the different months start. And so anyways, those are my blocks. And yeah, so that's going to leave me 3 extra down on the bottom. I'm not going to deal with that in this video, what I'm going to do with those 3 extra squares, but I do have an idea, and I've kind of written down some stuff here. This I wrote back before I even started making the quilt. And then for the rain, that was my color for rain. And lightning and thunder, I used a yellow and I put a stitch for that. And I used white for snow. And then there's the rainbow. And the hail, I think I just used white for hail also. And, weatherunderground.com and is where I was getting my data from. Timeanddate.com also has historic weather data, so you can go there. My finished quilt size should be 95 by 100. I don't think I'm going to put a border on it. I'm not seeing a need to do that. So, so that's where I'm at. And so each month, like for this, I counted how many, you know, of each of these colors I needed, and I cut them out as I need them, so I wasn't cutting like way more fabric than I needed. But in the next video, I think I'll do a roundup of how much fabric I have left, because I talked about that in the beginning. I showed how much fabric I had to start off with. So the blocks, so what I did was, to make it easier on myself, I cut them in 3 by 6, and then I picked the two colors that I needed, and I sewed those together, and then I cut them in half and turned it around and then sewed it together this way. It saved cutting all of that initial 3-inch squares out. Okay. And then so anyways, that's what I decided to do. I was calculating how much fabric overall this would take with 3-inch squares doing that. So that's what I'm talking about here. Basically, I decided you'd need about 9 yards of fabric of nothing but 3-inch squares to make this size of quilt. And so I figured, you know, that comes out to 19, if I had 17 colors, 19 inches of fabric for each one. And I mean, I didn't just go out and buy these, so I had varying amounts of the fabrics I used because I have a huge fabric stash. You know, at least 25 inches of, you know, just depending on how many colors you're going with. And then I wrote down when I decided on rain and snow and the rainbow and the lightning and the hail. These are stitches on my sewing machine, and what settings I put them on and what color I used, just so I could keep track. Because between especially when I did the end of June, and I got halfway through the quilt, and then it wasn't until, like, you know, months later that I finally did that, rounded it up and started working on it again. And then it was good that I had this written down so I could be consistent. So that's just a little tip on that. So anyhow, I have all that, and so I just need to get these sewed together, and then get my rain and my little snow stitches on there, and then we'll look at this. All right, so I've got the quilt laid out again. It's been a little bit since I recorded last. So I've got the squares all together, and I've got the rain and snow stitches put on there, and I still got my labels on here so I can keep track of what's the upper corner of these, you know, so I don't get them turned around. So here's my December overall high and low temperatures for December, and so I got the mark on there. So that's where I need to start, and so this was the last square of December here. And so, because I decided to go diagonal, they're going to go like this. And I do need to turn some of them, every other one, they get turned upside down so that they are, they're in a checkerboard pattern, because I didn't press my seams open, and that way the seams lock together better. And it looks like my last December one, I left the ticket, or the date on it, the label on it, so I could tell it's upside down. So that diagonal row I laid upside down. So this diagonal row I want to put right side up. And the only place that I didn't turn them over, there's a few of them in here that, I mean, and it doesn't make any difference because these are the highs and these are lows, as long as I do that. Like when I had a rainbow on some of them, should have been turned over, and I didn't get turned over. So we'll see what this looks like when I get all of, okay, so yeah, this row, I'm going to turn them upside down. And back in my first video, when I was figuring this out, that's when I figured out that I wanted to rotate them, alternate them up and down to lock them together. I mean, it isn't a big deal. It's just that since I already haven't pressed this much, that having to, you know, having bulkier. I don't want to have too many of them that are. Oops, this one's upside down. It needs to be this way. This way. That way. Okay. So if all my calculations come out right, we'll have 3 empty squares at the end, and those, oops, wait a minute. Yeah, this one and this one need to be upside down. Okay, so I have 3 more spots right here, and I'm going to do my next video. I'm going to talk about what I'm going to put there, which one of them, I think the very bottom corner, is going to be the high and low for the whole year. I think I decided to do that. And one of them, well, I haven't figured out what the fabric is that's going to fill in the other 2 squares. But I wanted to say 2023 Clark County, Indiana, at least. I don't know, because I am going to put a label on the back. I've pretty much decided I am going to put a color chart on the back. But I'll talk about all that in the next video. So I haven't got all that worked out exactly. Like, do I just want to put that it's a 2023 temperature quilt for Clark County, Indiana? Do I only want to put that on the back, or do I really want to have that on the front? But that does leave me with two open spots, which definitely need to be in the blue fabrics of some type, because of it. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, honestly, I'll keep that. I could do 1 square of the high for the year and the average high, 1 for the average low, and then I could have the last square for the overall average temperature of the whole year. And that would fill in those 3, and I might do that. So, and plus I want to talk about, in the next one, I'm going to talk about my back and how I plan on quilting this and what I plan on doing with the quilt, because I do have some ideas on that. So anyways, so now I've got to get these sewed together, and basically what I have been doing all along, I forgot to bring my pins over here, and so basically what I've been doing is each column, and it's just easier for me to go ahead and do this, and just and I just go ahead and pin the column together. And when I had all of those columns going across there in that last set that I was doing, I did actually make little number tickets and number the columns so that I could keep track of them. And so this one, and then because this seam is down on this side and this seam is over on this side, they just nest together so easily. And I'm just putting a pin in there just to hold it, because I'm going to be moving these around. So that laid there like that, and I'm just going to go ahead and put the top one down, and that way I keep them all in order. And then it just makes it really easy at the sewing machine. And I did that with those big long columns, this exact thing. I don't think I showed all that process in that video. And so I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to get all these, and then after I get them, I'll see how I didn't sew all the way down the column. I left them out so that I can, then I'll pin that onto there, and then I'll sew each of these on. I'll sew one here, sew this columns together, and then pin the next one on, sew that column down here, pin the next one on, and sew them. And that's how I've proceeded through the whole quilt with this. It's worked out because to me it's not practical to do 1 square a day, you know. It just was better to do it in a big mass, monthly, every 3 months or so. Okay. All right. So I'll show you the end result of this when I get all this done. All right. So got December on there. So we just ended up with a little bit of blue and green here on the corner, and but that's the way the temperatures flow here in my area, and no one could ever make 2 quilts alike, right? They would always be different depending on where you're at when you do this. So got my 3 left to put on here, and so that'll be where I start with my next video. The other thing I'm going to do once I get those 3 squares put in, I'm going to have to iron the whole thing, and that's why I try to iron as I go. But what I have not ironed is down the columns. So that I really want to do. Yeah, and then I can't lay the whole thing out here in my house. I just do not have a space right now that's big enough to show the whole thing. So I'm going to take it somewhere tomorrow, and I'm going to lay it out flat and get a picture of it, or do some more video, and it'll be tagged right after this little clip of video, so we can look at it, because I still have not seen the whole thing laid out flat. But yeah, the stripe going diagonal like this because I decided to lay my blocks in diagonally. If I had gone straight across the top, you know, and just did rows like that, the yellow and red stripe would be more right here, you know, going across this way. And it was just a style choice that I made, and everything. So, anyways, yep. Thanks for watching, and like I said, got more videos to come about this quilt, and I have some other quilts that I am working on as well. So you'll get to see those too. I'm going to try and make some more quilt videos. All right, thanks for watching.